Thanks everybody. Thank you, Michael. Nice to see some familiar faces. When I was putting together this presentation, I wanted to kind of do two things. One, of course, is shameless self-promotion, which is why we're here. But the other is also to kind of take you through a thumbnail tutorial on how PR firms, which is still what we call ourselves, but how we've, most of us have evolved. I started my business in 2003, so you can imagine that it's a very, very different world now than it was then. And if we were offering the same narrow scope of services then that we offered then, now we wouldn't be in business. So with that said, a little background on us. We're based in New York City. I'm in my office today, coming in more often, as probably some of you are. But we are bi-coastal. My partner, Karina Sales, is in the beautiful town of San Luis Obispo, which gives her the opportunity to go to LA a lot, and we've built a client base there. As I mentioned, we started in 2003. We are boutique. We're actually a little bit smaller than we were before the pandemic, but we are lean and mean. But we also have clients from all over the world. We've represented clients literally on every continent other than Antarctic, I think. Branding and positioning, a lot of people in Michael's group are marketing people, so you understand branding and positioning comes across the scope of a lot of the services that this group provides. I mentioned that we started with earned PR. That's old school traditional PR. That's getting articles in newspapers and magazines, TV shows. And what's interesting about that is that even though you think the world has moved on, nobody's really reading newspapers anymore, clients still want that old school earned PR. It's amazing. I would have predicted 5 or 6 years ago that would fade away. If anything, it's become more prominent in what we do. Social media management. I mentioned in 2003, there was no social media, but today we do social media turnkey for most of our clients. So we create their pages across platforms. We create monthly calendars, we post, we engage, we do paid campaigns. And as I said before, we wouldn't be in business without being able to offer a really robust social media division. Copywriting is a big part of what we do. We overlap with probably some other people in this group. And then I mentioned paid content. Well, that's social paid, but not just social. Paid content, paid blogger tours, that sort of thing. And that's also a really significant part of our work, which wasn't when we started way back when. So I mentioned, our scope. We have worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, including Apple TV and Amazon TV. But we also, I personally, I love working with startups and entrepreneurs. It really, when you start with a company, you feel so invested with them, and you help them figure out who they are, what they want to say, what their public face is going to be. And it's really gratifying to see a company that you start with, to watch them grow. B2B and consumer, really, we do both. It's pretty, there's no distinction in terms of our expertise there. We do try to focus on social responsibility and values-oriented companies. We're known for our expertise in the children's and family space. So when you start working in children's, you want to work on projects and company and content that really does have that core value. So, you want to wake up in the morning and feel good about the clients you're working with. So I talked a little bit about the difference between then and now. This is where it's so amazing when I look back on it, that back in the day, it was that old school press coverage that I mentioned, speaking opportunities. We still do a lot of live events. We do all these things, third-party partnerships, but all that stuff, plus the digital marketing, the social media, the content marketing, the influencer marketing, we'll go a lot with influencers. We also we don't build websites, we're not designers, but we do work with designers, and we will help to either relaunch or build websites because we write the content. And that includes landing pages for clients that already have a web presence. And then, as I mentioned before, the branding and strategic messaging, obviously everything has to follow that, right? You can't just go out there and be tactical if you don't know what your strategy is and what you're trying to say. So the social media, as I mentioned, is such a big part of our business. You know, I'm old, so I have young people in my business that are much more adept at it, but I certainly have had to educate myself and develop a conversance and an aptitude for it. So we work across all major platforms. Interestingly enough, even now as we speak, we're just beginning to get into TikTok with our clients, which we had never done before. And then you can imagine, I mean, the other platforms, and you know what they are, I don't have to go into it. So we create, as I said before, content calendars. We're on their social pages all day, so we can offer real-time engagement. You know, some clients, as I mentioned, are turnkey. They just basically say, here, just run it. Others want to know what it is you're saying, and they want to make sure and vet what the conversation is. So we work either way. We do live tweeting from events. That's something that we are very comfortable with when we handle events. We will post graphics and images. We either create them ourselves or we have a third party that does that. The paid campaigns that I mentioned, third party collaboration, that is, you know, again, through influencers. And then probably one of the most important things is that clients have a very broad range of understanding of how social works. So we give them analytics and metrics at the end of the month. We give them very detailed numbers so they can see, you know, where we started from at the beginning of the month and where we are now. But I've told my team, don't just give people numbers, because a lot of people can't process those numbers. They can't really break them down. So we write a narrative, like a short story, and we take them through the process in a way that makes sense for people and that they can digest much more easily. So I think the narrative approach for us has been really effective because people really get it. And you don't want to be too technical or too wonky, especially for the kinds of clients we have. We have a lot of creative people, a lot of people that produce content for kids, for example. They're not trying to understand social at the level we are. So by creating that narrative, it just really helps them grasp it. We also work with third-party partners, as I mentioned, and this is important for everybody on this group because we're always looking to partner with people who do video content, who create graphics, who do website development, as I said before, who do SEO. I was talking to Michael about that earlier. Guerrilla marketing and street teams, and people who can go out and get sponsorships. So a lot of times when we are pitching a new client, they'll say, well, do you do, and they will look at some of these things. Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you do SEO? So we never white label our third-party partners. We always bring them in. Everybody knows who they are, but it just gives us a broader scope of services. It makes us more competitive. So I would say to this group, you know, keep that in mind because you never know when I might be calling on you if you have one of these services or other services that might be aligned as well. One of the big challenges in what I do is how to determine value. So because PR is a notoriously difficult business to attach a black and white metric to. So we always say, okay, how did we help you this month? Did we help you drive your business objectives? Is your story integrated into the broader media conversation? It's not just about going out there and showing for a company. It's making them part of the conversation because that's going to have so much more credibility and it's going to resonate with the people who are actually looking at the press coverage. What is the value and the return on investment? It's not just ink, but did we actually help you achieve your business objectives? Did we actually get you somewhere moving your business forward? How has your audience responded to what they've seen through the PR? And we do provide metrics and analytics, both in PR and social. But again, I look at PR metrics with a bit of a raised eyebrow. How many people are reading a newspaper? It's pretty squishy. So that's why all the rest of these value-oriented bullets become so important. And finally, I have said since day one, marketing or PR without context has no value. What does that mean? It means that a lot of times PR firms are just like kind of under the gun to get their client into the newspaper or whatever it is. But it doesn't help you if that PR, if you're mentioned in an article or there's coverage about you, but it doesn't talk about who you are, your branding, your messaging, your positioning, your vision, your mission. So we try to be very careful to make sure that these stories that run about our clients actually do deliver that value. Because otherwise, as I say, it's just a bunch of ink and nobody pays attention, and it's a waste of everybody's time and money. Now, I just finally wanted to just sort of summarize by saying, here are some of our clients. So these are the kinds of clients that we tend to focus on. Entertainment and media, and I said before, so a lot of it is kid-oriented, but not only kid-oriented. Right now, we're working on a lot of podcasts, but we've done television, we do books, we do pretty much all forms of media content that you can think of. Nonprofits. I noticed Howard Levy's on this call. He and I have partnered on a few things. Lifestyle clients, food and beverage, consumer products, again, especially for kids, and technology. We're not hardcore technology, but we can certainly offer PR for companies that offer a technological service, mostly B2C. And I think that is it. So did I make the 15 minutes, Michael?
You were good. We got about 3.5 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, I don't see any questions in the chat, but certainly if anybody has questions, now would be a good time. Victor.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks, Michael. Hi, Alan. Yeah, that was a great presentation. I thought it was very clear and very easy to follow, which is always nice. So I have a question for you. I mean, I got out of the PR game back in 2005, pretty much, right? And it's obviously changed a lot. So since you're sort of a boutique firm, like I think you said, do you find yourself going up against the major firms, the big PR firms, or are you competing with, individual practitioners, especially because you're kind of doing stuff, kind of across the board? Mm-hmm. So do you find yourself in competitive situations, or is it really more, relationships and networking?
That's a good question because, and Jackie, thank you for that question, because that's actually perfect timing. I always say, like, sometimes somebody will come to me and they'll say, well, I have a budget of $1,000 a month to do PR. We can't do that, because we have to eat. On the other hand, a company like Edelman, the largest PR firm in the world, they're going to charge $25,000 or $30,000 a month for a project that I'll probably be able to do for 6 or 8. So we're in the middle. But when people have a very small budget, I'll say, you know what, you need a freelancer. We're certainly adaptable to your question, Jackie, about budget, because particularly these days, pandemic and now hopefully post-pandemic, the world has changed. And what's really funny about it is that back in 2008, after the huge recession, we got clients back, but everybody wanted, I'm sure you guys can relate to this because you're all service companies, they wanted more work for less money. And now I'm seeing that again, post-pandemic. People are coming back, they want to hire us, but it's the same situation. So, for a small business like mine, our core fee structure is probably somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 a month. We always work on retainers, but you got to be flexible because that's just the nature of the business.
Okay, other questions? If there are no other questions, hold on. Have you seen, so this is from Jackie. For entertainment media, have you seen a change in response from editorial in regards?
Yeah,
to finish it up?
Absolutely. Well, I think the change that you see is that it's just a lot harder to get on the radar of reporters in general and entertainment media because they're blogging, they're on social media. And this is why I said in the presentation that you're better off trying to get your client, your project, whatever it is, make it part of the news cycle. Because if you just go out, that used to be you could get soft stories, you get a feature on a company, but journalists don't have time for that anymore. That's where the media landscape has really changed. Nobody's going to write a puff piece. I think a lot of publicists get frustrated because their pitches are puffy. It's a much tougher game. And that's the thing about my business that's so frustrating, I think, is because it's harder to get placements. There are less media outlets. And yet, as I said before, clients want old school PR now as much as ever, or maybe even more than ever.
And Rajiv asked, what is earned PR?
Yeah, sure. So I'm using sort of like inside baseball jargon. So earned PR is, that's the PR that you actually, or we call it organic. You get, you pitch a story and a writer will put it in an article or create an article, or it'll be on a news show or something like that, as opposed to paid content. So that's they're paying you because they're paying you a retainer, but you're not paying for the placement. It's just PR that is you know, like the stuff you'll see in the New York Times. I mean, nobody's paying for that. There is paid content, there are paid inserts and that sort of thing. But what I'm talking about when I say earned PR is an article that a journalist is just writes because it's a good story.
I have a question. How often do you sort of create activities or things for your client to do, I guess, other than conferences or something that is just for PR purposes or primarily for PR purposes? Like, you know, why don't you have somebody tightrope across, you know, the you know, 2 towers or something?
Yeah, like a stunt.
A stunt. Yeah,
yeah, I think there's still a place for that, but again, I don't think we sort of moved on from the old days of press agentry, you know, where people would do like things like that. And now it's like there are companies that do like activations, like they'll do like some sort of an event in Times Square.
Right.
But but it's expensive, and you need to make sure that you can show value or something like that. I think that a lot of what we do is less sexy, but more impactful by getting speaking opportunities at industry conferences for clients and that sort of thing. So that's probably what we would focus on more. But, you know, if a client, we have a client right now, she is launching a new location on Hudson Street on Thanksgiving weekend. It's for candy. It's all about candy crafting for kids. They can go in there and they can get their hands dirty with candy and make all kinds of things, very hands-on. So I suggested to her that she have street teams in New York City where they could hand out samples and they could hand out flyers to get people down to the location in Hudson Street. We don't do street teams, but we have partners that do. And so, yeah, so one of the people we recommended, she's bringing on, and we will work very closely with them to make sure we maximize that opportunity.
All right. Well, tell that street team company that they should join, or at least check out the Trusted Referral Network.
They're a great company. They have more work than they can handle right now.
Oh, really? Okay. So they're not doing a lot of networking right now. All right. Last question from Jackie. Where are you seeing the most bang for one's buck? Would you say cross-promotional social posts are more beneficial than editorial?
Yeah.
What outlets will people see most ROI from?
That is a really great question. I think it depends a lot on the situation. I think the thing about social that we like is that we're not beholden to a journalist to get our story out there, right? We can post it and we can promote it if the client's willing to put money behind it. You know, again, it's, you know, when you say bang for one's buck, that's subject to interpretation because ROI means different things to different people. So sometimes it's, you know, you get an article in a publication. It's not just about getting the article, but then the client can use it for their sales, for example. They can use it as a sales piece. So it really depends on what their goals are and what their needs are.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Alan, and everybody for your questions.
Great questions.
I just posted, yes, absolutely good questions. I just posted in the chat the list of everyone here. If you don't see your name, let me know in the order in which you showed up. So why don't we do 3 minutes, Victor, Andrew, Rajiv, and if everybody else would go on mute, because I'm going to switch to speaker view for the purposes of recording. And so Victor, take it away.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone this morning. Beautiful fall morning. So I have a specific ask and I have a general ask. The specific ask is I'm looking for upcoming group events on Zoom, holiday events for corporations, foundations, or any sort of organization. With the thought being, and some of you may have heard this already, that last year everybody had their holiday events on Zoom and they were terrible. I can say that without even having attended any of them. And then this year, people are expecting that their holiday events will be on Zoom again, and that they will be terrible again, if not worse. So the thought is that I have a client who has created a protocol, a process for doing trivia events on Zoom. So for example, he would show up as the host moderator, the way that Michael does for these events, and kind of lead the team through it. He is the questions are terrific. They're all pop culture related. Who was Fonzie on Happy Days? And he has tricks like, sometimes the questions are asked by cartoons. He also uses the woman who's the original voice of Siri can ask the questions. So he has, leaderboards, breaks people up into teams. So it's a really, really good experience that I was introduced to by Rajiv. So we're looking for interesting events. And just to show you the appeal of this, I was talking to a lawyer this morning, and I mentioned it to him because I thought he could point me to his HR people at his company. And even this lawyer, his response is, "Oh my God, we could use this." Because last time I guess they did a cooking class over Zoom where everybody was, in their own kitchens. So I think people are looking for something new and different, and hopefully, so thank you, Jackie. So hopefully something will pop up there. So any thoughts, please feel free to reach out. And so, for example, Rochelle, I think in last week's call had mentioned an idea, and I've had some conversations with her about it since then. So that brings me to the general question. So I'm basically looking for foxes and hedgehogs, right? And I think many of you are probably familiar with the expression that, foxes know lots of things and hedgehogs know one big thing, right? So it's not a value judgment. It's just a different way of people looking at things. So what I do is I work with hedgehogs who have interesting things that they're working on, and I help find them clients. So for example, Bryce, who's not on this call, so we can talk about him. I've helped find him clients for his modular residential construction company. And then Gary Heyman at Inc. that Michael and I think Alan were talking about earlier. It's an AI SEO content creation engine. I have no idea how the thing works, right? But I set up a call this afternoon with Gary's team and a friend of mine who's she used to be the content creator for places like Westwood One and Cumulus and R.R. Donnelly. So all I need is like an inkling of how something works to say, oh, I know somebody who could be helpful. So those are hedgehogs. And then what I love to work with are people who are foxes, who know lots of people. And when I present them with an idea, they can say, oh, I know somebody. So not to overdo it, but Rajiv is both a fox and a hedgehog. So I've been out pitching reputation repair to like all the lawyers I know and that I went to law school with and so on. And I'm getting good response. But at the same time, when I take Rajiv some of my other projects, he's also found people who help me with some of my other things. Because I have a whole bunch of crazy projects in environmental scenting and a bunch of other things. So I'm happy to talk with anybody, whether you view yourself as a fox, a hedgehog, a hybrid, which I really wouldn't want to picture. But this group has been terrific for people coming up with really interesting ideas and really interesting businesses that I can hopefully help them, find new clients.
Wonderful.
So Michael, hopefully I stayed under the 3 minutes.
No, but that's okay.
That's my pitch.
That's all right. You were about a minute over, but that's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
That's quite all right. We're not on that strict a timeline because we don't have a huge group today. But Andrew, you are next.
Thanks, Michael. And thanks, Alan, for a great presentation. I really love the focus on creating a narrative as a way of making the data understandable. That definitely fits with our experience about how to get clients to care about what's happening and what's causing it, and whether it's good news or bad news. Having the story underneath it's pretty great. So, hi everyone. My name is Andrew Shulkin. You can call me Andy if you'd like, just not in front of my mother. that will not work out well for either of us. I think I've met all of you. Alan, I'm 99% sure we had coffee 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm not sure we've had any contact since. So we should fix that. But so since I do think I know most of you, I'll just quickly say that we do web development and content marketing, B2B companies, mostly small businesses, but not super tiny. So my ask would be twofold as well. We do love working with B Corps and similar. So if anyone has connections that they'd be comfortable making, I'd love to meet more folks like that. And also social media freelancers, really, if anyone has folks that they'd recommend. Some strategy, I guess, in some cases, but more basic management and implementation we could use some help with. So that's an ask for us. And I think I'm well under 3 minutes. So we're back on
You
schedule.
are. Have you tried posting on Mosaic? Are you familiar with Mosaic?
I am, and I'm a member there. That's an excellent idea. That's an excellent idea. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, and the other would be serial marketers. I think if you post there, they might be able to. Are you familiar with serial marketers?
I'm not. That's a new one to me.
Absolutely. So David Berkowitz has got a big, it's a Slack group,
Okay.
and it's pretty open to all sorts of marketers. If you just look it up on Slack, or if you need a link, I can provide that.
Great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. And Andrew, now you shifted your primary category to content strategy or content marketing, I think, on the website.
I guess that was I wasn't clear to me whether I could create 2 profiles or not, or if they.
If you did, I have to smack that second one down. But I think you just changed. Okay, good.
Yeah, I would lead with that one, if that's all right, as long as I'm not stepping on anyone else's toes.
Well, you will be, but that's the whole idea, right? I mean, it's not a exclusive, it's not a category exclusive group, not at least at the national level. If we could get 2,000 people each doing non-overlapping things, that would be interesting. Okay. Rajiv, then Ken, then Howard.
Cool. So I'm gonna try and share my screen. Let's see if this works. Let me try and make it full screen. Just bear with me for a moment. Wait, am I sharing? You
shared your entire screen, so we see a repeat.
Okay, so let's see. Can you see this?
Yep, going for an interview or audition, but yep.
Okay, and tell me if you can hear the audio.
Cannot.
No? So I didn't see the option for like sharing audio. Like I didn't see that.
I'm not sure where that is. I think it's when you
if you go to more at the very top on the right.
So it's like when
there was a live on YouTube, live on Facebook, breakout rooms. No, that's not.
I mean, I click share screen and like nothing happens. Like I didn't see the.
So if you click on more at the right, Rajiv.
Okay.
Yep, and then you should see something called share sound.
Share sound.
Yep.
All right, now go back to the other one. You got 1 minute and 50 left, so go for it.
Oh God. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, let's see if this works.
Hey, what's up?
Yep.
Has these things happened to you where you go in for auditions or you go in for interviews and they've already done their homework on you? And they found some things that were unsavory, and we don't mean to say some of the things that we say because that's our past us. It's not our right now us. Just remember, I got a guy. Reputation management is so important. So let RS Square Media, let them fix your reputation, and tell your friends, I got a guy.
Yeah, so that's like a pilot that I'm doing, working with clients that have used us in the past. And well, she's an actor and voiceover artist that I'm like working with her on. So, but that's kind of like a small, example as to how reputation repair can come in handy. So it could be something benign, like you're Googling yourself and you see links show up on People Finder and Truth Finder and Redaris and stuff like that. And you're thinking, yeah, that's not bad press. But then again, it's all your private information, like your name, age, address, birthday, your marriage date, who you're married to, who you got divorced from, blah, 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 all that other stuff. So if you don't want all that stuff floating for all and sundry to see, then you could use our service and get all that junk deleted from Google. And sometimes it could also create the case of a mistaken identity where, and this actually happened to a client like a while ago, where the company thought she was a criminal because when they Googled her, they saw someone that had the same name that looked like her, same first name, different last name, and that person had a criminal record. And that resulted in the company retracting the high six-figure job offer. So she then hurriedly, hastily, in a panic said, "Help, can you please get that down?" So that's another example of how we help. So if you know anyone that needs anything deleted, of course, certainly think of us. But also if you know any sports or entertainment attorneys, introductions there would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you. And would you stop sharing, because you've been sharing your the entire screen as well?
Oh, really?
That's okay.
Oh, that's so strange.
All right. No problem. Thank you very much, Rajiv. Ken, then Howard, then Jackie.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Ken Simon. I have a question for the group. I'm talking to a potential client this afternoon, and they want to do advertising on LinkedIn. And I don't know if anybody's I really have not done any advertising on LinkedIn, but they're a B2B client and in the financial services. I just wanted to know if anybody's had experience with LinkedIn advertising and what I should expect, or what just what benchmarks I could use to track the effectiveness of that.
We could refer you to some people who can give you a sense. I mean, there are some paid media people in the group. If you go to SCM and paid media, and I know some other folks who can give you some thoughts on that. From what I've heard, it has to be the right product. Maybe financial, that might be a good one. Financial advisory. Oftentimes people are surprised that Facebook may even be better, even for something that's B2B.
Yeah, I've done Facebook and I've done Google, but I've sort of steered away from LinkedIn just because I think I've always found that they're more expensive than Facebook or Google, and I just didn't know how effective it is. So I just wanted to see if anybody, because this is a startup that I'm talking to, and they're trying to expand their awareness and engagement. So I've used LinkedIn for awareness, but that's more or less publishing articles or content on it, but never for the paid.
Anybody have thoughts? Anybody besides the folks that we know in the paid space, or if you know other people besides those? But
one person that comes to mind is Andre from Gannett. So maybe
I can
he
reach
can
out.
help. Yeah.
I'd be glad to have you talk with a colleague, on our team who does that, for us. So I don't know, we're doing big campaigns now, and I don't know, most of it's on Facebook. We've explored LinkedIn for various clients, and it tends to be difficult. I think our issue was on targeting people. You have to have the right titles, and I think it became pretty expensive to try to focus on target people one-on-one, essentially through purely through titles.
Yeah.
So other interest, the Facebook's based on interests was getting a better a similar demographic with at a lower cost per acquisition.
That had been my experience. I had done it, but I just found LinkedIn a little bit cumbersome to use for their advertising. So that's why I've never done it. But this client is very hell-bent on it too. So I'm trying to figure out.
Kenneth, there was an article I saw recently, I think on HubSpot, I can try to look for it, where it looked at the overlap among the different social networks, right? Because people used to say, Facebook is for personal and LinkedIn is for business. And they basically said everybody's on everything. So your audience is all there, right? So it's kind of like, back to Alan's thing, right? Should we advertise only on NBC, right? Then everybody watches every channel.
Yeah,
so
but it's really a cost per exposure,
yeah, right, exactly.
and the effectiveness and how well you could target.
Right.
And obviously Facebook targets on different dimensions than LinkedIn. And people have a different attitude about Facebook advertising versus LinkedIn. Perhaps they think LinkedIn is more professionally oriented or B2B oriented, but I don't know if that necessarily drives return. But somebody mentioned Gilbert Abraham, who is a LinkedIn expert, but I think his focus is more on training.
Yeah.
But he should know. But then there's some other people. Darren Carter does some LinkedIn stuff. David Edelman does some LinkedIn stuff. I assume Ethic Advertising, what's his name? Jeff Schwartz does things on LinkedIn. But if you go to the website,
I can go to the website, yeah,
and just reach out to those people and ask them if they have experience, what their experience is for that.
Okay. Besides, that's one thing I don't. I want to, when I talk to them, I just at least want to be able to say, here are your other alternatives. Has anybody used anything like besides LinkedIn for B2B financial services? Have you found Facebook to be effective, or any other channels or social media sites that I could recommend?
Yeah, I've used Facebook, and I think it can be effective, but you got to do like a lot of testing with your message testing, your targeting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it could work for a while, but then it gets saturated and fatigue sets in really fast. And then you got to like mix it up, and that could take, a month to 2 months or whatever. So if clients have the appetite for that kind of thing, it's okay. But if not, well, that's just kind of like how it is, because otherwise they'll see that it's worked well for like, let's say 2 months. They'll expect it to continue to work, but then it may not unless you tweak it. So that's the only caveat to working with Facebook.
If they have a limited budget, I mean, I forgot, they're also, their budget is like, they only want to spend like $2,000 a month total, so which is, but I think between all the social media, all the different advertising. So I'm trying to figure out what to recommend.
It costs you that much though for Facebook. It's not very expensive. And as Rajiv said, you do the A/B testing, and you just, but it's going to take a while because you have to analyze the A/B test and then probably do it again.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I noticed on the website, and I'll share my screen. This is the people who are in financial services as a specialty, and media buying, OCD Media. That's David Edelman. He says that he does, he specializes in financial services. He's the only one that is both financial services and paid.
Okay.
So you can try that.
You're looking to reach consumers or financial professionals?
Financial professionals. They are, well, not financial. They have an API that links to. They're actually going to be targeting like HR professionals. They're a financial. They link to. They created an API that'll link to that allow people to do direct deposits. So they'll link to the HR system and the like ADPs of the world, and or whatever banking system that you want to do. And so they sort of like created an interface for that. So they're like trying to they want to, like, I guess, HR people or benefits managers type roles that they're going to be targeting.
So it's more tech. They're trying to reach HR people. Okay, let's move on. Howard Levy, and then Jackie, then Faith. Howard, yeah.
Good. All right, I'm going to do a screen share if I may.
Please.
And preface for that to say, most of you know who I am. Howard Levy with Red Rooster Group. Our company is Wake Up Your Brand. We work with nonprofit organizations primarily with deep expertise in that arena. And we help organizations really rethink who they are. We take it on directly through brand engagements. When an organization comes to us, says we need to kind of figure out how to reposition who we are and tell our story better. Through marketing when they need to engage more constituents, and through fundraising, helping them raise money. I'll briefly share a story, an in-progress story. Maybe have heard me talk about our client Life Moves. They run, it's an organization helping people who are homeless in California. They have 28 shelters, beautiful houses, apartment style buildings for people. The housing homeless issue is exploding there. And we're doing as one of the things we're doing under our fundraising retainer is their year-end fundraising appeal. So I'm going to show you how we use this fundraising appeal as actually a springboard for helping them rethink who they are as an organization. So the theme that we came up with for them is go big and go home. Join us in our plan to disrupt homelessness in Silicon Valley, really taking on the idea that Silicon Valley has big ideas, this organization has big ideas, and we could do more than just serve people, through these homes. They just implemented a new, talk about a modular housing village. So you hear essentially that can help 350 people a year. And so this is going to have a big impact in the particular town, and they're looking for contracts to do more of these in Silicon Valley. And so we use this as a springboard to help them kind of reframe what they do through something we call a poetic path, and kind of a brand framework. And so it takes them from one place as a proven model to a model provider, and they can show others how to solve homelessness and be, a model for others. From resourceful to a resource that others turn to, and so forth. So from local, the Mercury News to Morning News, going national for their work, for their advocacy work, to bring their message on a national stage, and to use this annual campaign as an ongoing way of talking about what they do, is coming up with novel and innovative solutions that could be a model for other organizations. So not just as an organization that's providing solutions, but an organization that is paving the way for others. And so they've really gravitated toward this. They have a new leader who's really taking the helm. Here's my time. And it's really resonating with them. So it's going to be a very exciting way for them to tell their story moving forward.
Thank you. By the way, I just noticed a typo. You have a righteous messengers.
Yeah.
Minor.
That's what it is. Righteous messengers.
But you have a.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Singular and plural. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Howard, let's see who was next. That would be Jackie, then Faith.
Hey guys, Alan, I really appreciated your presentation. Thank you. And thank you for humoring all my questions. I'd love to talk to you further.
They were great questions, actually.
Oh, thank you. I've spent a lot of money in PR, and I was really impressed by your presentation and the way that you spoke about PR. So thank you. Found it refreshing. Anyway, my agency is called Driver Digital. We are a web design and development agency specializing. I'm not a competitor with my friend Andrew there. We're on the B2C side and focused on fashion and beauty brands. My ask today, I have two asks, kind of like Victor. My first ask is really specific. I'm wondering if anybody might have a contact at a brand called Maria Tosh, and I'll put that in the chat. It's a piercing and jewelry brand. It is a really suffering website that we would love to redo, and they would be perfect for us. So I'm trying to find someone at that organization. And my second ask is actually, I want really, truly, Victor, I want to be included on your party list. I'm trying to figure out just different opportunities for networking while we're still coming out of this pandemic. And, I'm still living pretty conservatively. I don't know if any of you guys are as well. So my in-person is not as frequent. So digital opportunities would be best. But those are my asks. Thank you. And great to see all you guys.
Great to see you. And you should check out the new events calendar. There's a lot of free virtual events, conferences. So it's on the website under events, conferences. I don't know how much opportunity, I guess it depends on the conference, how much opportunity they provide for networking. Okay. That must be Faith and then me. Faith, you're up. Is Faith still here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Hi, my name is Faith Thomasis, and I know most of you. So, hello. And to those I don't know, hello again. I am a words person, and I essentially do succinct copywriting, name development, and any kind of planning and research that needs to go into a marketing communications campaign. I work primarily as a resource for other agencies, and several of those of you here today could be a resource for you in these areas. I help agencies that don't need someone with my expertise full time. I'm located in Manhattan, but I have a secondary country office in Wilmington, Delaware, and I'm very versatile. I've got experience in financial services and consumer packaged goods and everything. My real expertise is getting to the point quickly and succinctly. So that lends itself very well to web writing and name development. And I will post my website on the chat. And I'm just looking for, I just finished up yesterday, a very exciting name project for a startup that's going to be in the carbon credit transfer space. So it's a way for forest owners to transfer the credits of their lands and get money from polluters who need to offset what they're doing, or they're not able to meet their standards just by cutting emissions, et cetera. So I don't know what they picked yet, but that was a really exciting project because it was it's very timely and going to hopefully help the environment somewhat. So several of you here use writers, so please keep me in mind, and look forward to keeping in touch with everyone.
Do you do any SEO oriented writing?
A little bit, but not real technical the way that some people here have gone into it.
Yeah,
So, I
you
mean, I'm
might want
kind
to check.
of
Right.
when I write it.
Right. There's, I was telling Alan about this tool that one of our members is promoting through one of his companies called Ink, I-N-K. I can tell you more about it. Might be of interest. It's especially since it generates content, but then it could use a good writer to make it pop, make it more interesting.
Oh, I saw that. Didn't he present last week?
He did. Oh, you were there.
Because no, I was busy. I was doing this name. So
okay, watch the video or
okay,
connect with me.
That's a good idea.
Yep. It's I posted it. It's in the newsletter with the link to the video. Or you can go straight to the YouTube channel.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay, I will put on the timer for myself. So my name is Michael Bendit, of course, and my company is Software Development Resources, and I represent about 10 different teams that specialize in the sort of the technical side of software development, which today it's really two platforms, right? It's either the web, so it's content management, it's so WordPress and Drupal, and or it's Shopify, e-commerce sites. WordPress has a e-commerce capability as well, a fairly sophisticated one. Magento. I'm also working with Jason Cement's project or team. They've got a very sophisticated e-commerce platform for people who need, something that is very capable, but really don't want to pay for what it would take to implement on Magento. A lot of technical terms I know I just threw out there, but those are different types of platforms. And it just really shows how complex the system, the whole technology and web development and software development world can be, which is why people come to me, because they're not really sure where to go for the right resource, be it for a website or for an e-commerce site or for a mobile application. And my job is to match them up with the right resource. A good example, I just got through networking, of course, I got an opportunity to work with an agency out in California. They're launching a new product for a company that sells bathroom equipment for high-end public bathrooms. Think, fixtures in bathrooms. They do partitions and other things, and they're coming out with a hand sanitizer and air purifier product, and they're doing the launch, and they need somebody to build out a website. And they were a little leery of WordPress because it is a target of hacking. But if you maintain your plugins, you make sure they're all up to date. Since they're only going to be up for 8 months through the product launch, it shouldn't really be a problem. So they're now open to that. It'll also cost them less than doing it using other platforms. Interestingly, it may be an opportunity for me to bring in my 3D rendering team because they want to also have animations of the product, show how it's used. And, you know, they want to do fly-throughs of this is how germs are killed in the purifier. So great leads for me are, in fact, digital marketing agencies that may have some internal development resources. They may have some programmers, but they also may run out of capacity, right? It's hard to keep good people. And sometimes they have more work than they can handle, overflow work, and also for work that they really don't have the skill set internally to manage. So it might be a platform they're not familiar with, or some other type of technology they're not familiar with. So great opportunities or connections for me are those small 2 to 25 people agencies. This one actually that I'm speaking with in California is about a 250 person agency. So that'll be sort of a first for me in that mid-size range. The other thing I want to show, we have 2 minutes. I'm going to share my screen.
Michael, I have a quick question for you before.
Sure.
I remember you telling us this, but the 3D rendering, how much does it cost?
It varies, but they're very cost effective. If it's like a still, they render something in 3D and it's a still of that, you know, at different angles, perhaps like a piece of furniture or a house interior or something like that. It's like $300 to $400 for the first image, and then $100 to $200 for extra.
The reason I'm asking is I'm working with a client who does rockets, and they're redoing their website, and when they just like 3D. I mean, it could be kind of neat if you could show their end, because they're developing these engines to like do that in 3D type thing. So
yeah, absolutely. Would love to talk to you about it. I can share some of the things they've done. But why don't you get on my calendar?
Yeah, I will. I just have to, I just started working with them, but okay.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, bring it up with them, ask them if they're interested in doing.
No, that's what I'm going to, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the events. It's a new menu. I just went to the marketing conferences, and you can see this is done by calendar. Here's the list. You could do it by day, month, week. So if you look at the month, it should show up as, there you go. I've only got things coming up this week and in the future. And this is through to 2023. If folks have events that they don't see on here that they'd like to show or to promote, that should be a marketing event, a conference. You could also search by location. I'm going to do this by list. Under Chicago. Did I hit Chicago correctly?
There might have been a typo.
Yeah, I thought I saw a typo in there. So you could see there's 3 coming up in Chicago, October the 27th, June the 22nd. And also there are virtual conferences. Actually, here's more in Chicago. And then each of these has a page with more information about it, and the price, etc., and a link to the organizer and the event itself. So this is the Digital Summit in Chicago. So feel free to to make use of this, tell other people about it, things that will help. You know, I want to drive people to the site to show that we're a group that helps people in the marketing space. So hopefully you'll find it useful. Also, if you are doing your own events in the marketing space, even if they're local, let me know, and I can promote them on here as well, virtual or whatever, or in real life, as they say. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and the rest of the week, and I hope to speak to you soon. And Ken, happy to touch base with you directly, and somebody else also. Said they
okay, I'll get on your calendar, Michael.
Okay, sounds good. Take care, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.